Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Budget Finance Economic Development Committee. It is March 10th. It's 9:08. And this meeting will be conducted in accordance with the Sunshine Law. As a reminder, when your name is called, if you're not in the council chambers, please identify by name who, if anyone, is in the room, vehicle, or workspace with you today. Minors do not need to be identified. Voting members, welcome.
Shalom.
Oops. Welcome, Vice Chair Kaunoe Batangan.
Hey, good morning, Chair.
Good morning, Councilmember Tom Cook.
Good morning, Chair.
Good morning. Gabe Johnson is on his way, so he'll be a little bit late. Chair Lee, good morning.
Morning and shalom. That's a Hebrew word to be safe and sound, and the foundation for the word shalom, which is peace. I'm home alone in my workspace, nursing my little kitty back to health.
Oh, surgery went well. Shalom.
Yes, yeah, but she doesn't take well to those things.
Oh, Member Paulton, good morning.
Aloha kakayaka kako shimin. Live and direct from
Oops.
the council chambers. Shalom and shalom.
Shalom and shalom. Member Rollins Fernandez.
Aloha kakayaka kako, my molokai nui ahina. I'm at my private residence, nursing my baby over here, back to health. She's okay. She's just under the weather. My minor child that will be unnamed, and there are currently no testifiers at the Molokai District Office.
Thank you. Member Sinensi, good morning.
Aloha, good morning, and shalom here at my private residence as well. I'll be sitting. I'm here by myself and no testifiers, Chair.
Okay, good morning. Thank you. Member Hajens.
Good morning, everyone. Shalom.
Shalom. Here with us today is also Budget Director, Deputy Director of Finance, Land Acquisition Officer. Guy Hironaka is virtual, Deputy Director of Environmental Management, Environmental Protection, Sustainability Manager, Chief of Staff, Managing Director, not confirmed, Office of Recovery Administrator, not confirmed, Director of Agriculture, not confirmed, Deputy Director of Agriculture, not confirmed, Deputy of Agriculture did confirm. Okay, thank you, Koa. Director of OEV Resources, not confirmed. Deputy Corporation Counsel, Wigglesworth, thank you very much for being here. Good morning. As well as our BFED committee staff, I've also invited Calbert Young, Executive Director, Employees Retirement System, State of Hawaii. And members, if there are no objections, I'd like to designate Mr. Young as a resource person under Rule 18A of the Rules of the Council based on the role with ERS. Thank you.
No objections.
Thank you. Yeah, he used to be our finance director at one point. Smart guy. Welcome back, Calbert. Please see the last page of the agenda for information on meeting connectivity. Members, there are 4 items on the agenda today. BFED 20(2) Employees Retirement System, ERS, for the state of Hawaii. BFED 46, Bill 102, 2025, amending the fiscal year 26 budget, Appendix A, Part 2, Open Space, Natural Resources, Cultural Resources, and Scenic Views Preservation Fund, and Resolutions 25-53, authorizing the acquisition of real property located at 104A Lower Wai'ehu Beach Road in Wailuku. BFED 20(12), Administration and Management of the Grants, and BFED 1, Proposed Fiscal Year 27 Budget for the County of Maui. Those are the items on the agenda. Members, I plan to take a break as close to 10:30 that we can. So let's begin with public testimony. Do we have anyone signed up to testify now?
Chair, we currently don't have any individuals signed up to testify at the beginning of the meeting. We'll do a brief last call in case there is anyone who wants to testify again at the beginning of the meeting. Please identify yourself now. On Teams, you can do that by raising your hand. Here's the countdown. 3, 2, 1. Chair, there's no one to testify at this time.
Okay, thank you. So I see a lot of people in the back waiting to testify, so I think they're going to be here for the second item on Kaiyehube. So be patient with us, and then we'll call you up at the next item. So, members, the first item on today's agenda is a Rule 7B discussion on the employees' retirement system of the state of Hawaii. Joining us is Mr. Calbert Young. Welcome, Calbert. Executive Director of the Employees Retirement System for the state of Hawaii. And each year, the committee invites Employees Retirement System and the Employee Union Health Benefits Trust Fund to provide updates relevant to our county in preparation for the upcoming budget session. Today, we will hear from the Employees Retirement System. The Employee Union Health Benefit Trust Fund will appear before the committee next week. And so just today is ERS. So the presentation is on item 2 in Granicus. Mr. Young, thank you for attending and welcome.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Madam Chair, council members. Thank you for scheduling and allowing for the employee retirement system to provide you an update on the status of our retirement system. All of us in here are participants and members, and hopefully will eventually become beneficiaries of our retirement pension. I'm Calbert Young. I'm the current executive director for the Employee Retirement System. I actually just started in this role January 1st. So you're getting me still pretty new, but I'm very well aware of the retirement system and our current status. So I am trying to share screen, I think, for those of you who are online.
We can see.
This is a brief, thank you very much, Councillor. This is a very brief presentation to give you a good sense of the status of the retirement system, but also some tidbits and look into the Maui County aspects of the retirement system as well. So what I'll quickly go through are some items related to the membership and benefits stats. The actuarial valuation, which has been completed through June 30th of 2025. That's the last valuation report. And that, what we'll want to pay attention to there is the progress towards our overall funded status. I will go through the impact of what is the latest or the new benefit tiers that was created. And then looking at the actual versus projected, so the future unfunded liability progress. We'll talk a little bit about the Maui County contributions as an employer to the pension system. And then just real fast, look at the current portfolio allocation for investments that are servicing the pension system. I'll talk a little bit about the actuarial stress test, although this will be very, very brief. And then I'd like to conclude by going through a handful of legislative bills that are specifically related to the employee retirement system. And the state legislature had a major milestone deadline this past Friday, March 6th. So some of those bills that are included in your public presentation packet, actually I'll provide a more updated status for those. So let's take a look at the membership. So these are stats for the entire system through June 30th. I've highlighted or noted where those are related to Maui County specifically. So currently we have about 162,000 members in the retirement system. Of that, 66,826 are active employees. This is state and county. There's 7,200 of those active employees we have listed as living in Maui County, but that doesn't mean that they're Maui County employees. There could be state employees in there. The Maui County employees are about 2,720. We have about 57,000 retirees and beneficiaries that are collecting a pension. Of those, 5,100 plus list a Maui County address. Again, I would not be able to tell you that all of those are Maui County employee retirees. Just that they are pension beneficiaries receiving a pension, and they live in the county of Maui. The inactive vested means those people who worked for state and county government long enough to vest into the employee retirement system, and depending on the plan, that could be 5 years or 10 years, depending on which retirement tier plan they're in. There's about 8,700 of those people that are not working for government, but they are entitled to a pension benefit when they do retire. And we have another 30,400 that are not working, and they didn't stay with state or county government service long enough to vest, but they are reflected on system, about 30,000 plus. So in terms of the pension payout, this past fiscal year that concluded June 30th, 2025, the pension system paid out about $2 billion worth of pension benefits. It has been increasing, as you see on this chart here, for the last 5 years. The average annual pension is about $35,300 for everyone who retires. Obviously, some people get more and others are less, but the average is $35,000. And of the total enrollment, the 66 plus thousand that we have, about 12,500 of those employees are actually able to retire today or June 30th if they had so chose. So a little bit about the funded status. The total liability for the pension system is just shy of $40 billion. That means for everyone who is in the system or entitled to a benefit, if they were to file for those benefits, the liability for that would equate to about $40 billion. The employee retirement system has funds contributed from all of the employers and employees that is being invested to help address a corpus to meet that total liability. We currently have, as of June 30th, just a little bit past 25 billion, which means that about 14 plus billion is considered, quote, unfunded. So this is the unfunded liability, is about 14 billion. In terms of a funded ratio, it would mean that 63.5% of our liability is considered funded. Now, the ERS collects employer contributions and employee contributions along the way, and that helps build the corpus. Along with an assumed rate of return for our investments. The funding period is about 21 years now. So that means on the current assumptions, at the current trends, we are on target to be 100% funded in 21 years. Of course, that takes into account a number of assumptions that over those 21 years may or may not be accurate or come to fruition. But we'll see in a later slide the actual progress and to give all of us a little bit more comfort in that we are headed in the right direction and there's reasons to be optimistic. With each year since 2022, as each year has progressed, if you note the last row on this chart, the funding period has progressed for 1 year. So that's right on par. 1 year of progress, 1 year of closer to the funding period, to the 100% funding. In terms of the funding ratio, though, liabilities has actually increased over that same period of time. So the funded ratio has increased, but very marginally so. We're talking about large numbers here in the total liability. So we're currently about 14.4 billion estimated unfunded. Last year, we were 14 billion unfunded, and the year before that, it was 13.7 billion unfunded. So the amount unfunded is actually increasing. So we haven't hit that point in the curve where we start contributing more and paying down the larger part, let's say principal, if you will, if we use the mortgage analogy. I did want to talk to you a little bit about the employees within the system by group. And this chart here looks at all employees except for police and fire, which is the part in the middle part of this chart. So police and fire employees as a group within the employee retirement system versus all other employees being in the employee retirement system. And because police and fire have a different pension tier plan for pension, different from, say, general employees, that's why you see this difference here. For just police and fire, the portion of the unfunded liability that is attributable to police and fire employees is about 2.4 plus billion. Versus the all other general employees, which accounts for about $12 billion of the unfunded liability. But if you look at the funded ratio, for police and fire, about 69.8% funded versus the regular employees at 62% funded. So that's a good mark. However, for police and fire, we have an issue that based on the experience of police and fire employees over the last several years, you should take note of the funding period. The funding period, if it were just for police and fire, has actually increased. In 1 year, it actually increased 2 years to 24 years. The funding period for all other general employees went down almost 2 years, so it's about 20 years. The average of those two together equates to the 21 years funding period that I mentioned earlier. And this you will want to keep in mind because it will be particularly relevant when I get to a later slide regarding some of the legislative measures that are being considered at the state legislature this year. So some of the sources of the funding impact, the employee retirement system actuarially assumes a 7% rate of return on its investments. And that is the earning rate that if we hit that mark consistently for the next 21 years, assuming all other assumptions stay constant, that is what it will take to hit 21 years. The last several years, the actual rate of return has actually been below the 7%, slightly. So that has moved us off the mark. That's also one of the reasons for the amount of the liability and the amount of the unfunded liability not progressing as quickly. The liabilities did increase, but slightly less than what was expected or actuarially assumed. But that increase was largely due to experience of the actual salary increases for certain employees. There is an assumption that employee salaries, our workforce compensation salaries, will increase at a certain rate. I believe it's like 3.5%. over the last several years, the actual rate of increase on average has been more than the assumption. And so that is also weighing on the growth of the liability. This slide shows the distribution of employees and which tiered pension plan they are in. Obviously, it makes a lot more sense that we have a lot of employees that are between the ages of 40 and 60, make the majority of the system. They're all in that group. But the distribution is as the plans have added tiers over the years, the last being 2012, you see that the pre-existing plans are still having to move through the system. And why this is important is because with each created tier plan, the contributions for the employer or the contributions for the employee or the benefits to the retiree have actually been augmented to make it more financially sustainable. So as the plans have gotten, new plans have gotten implemented, the contributions from employees and from employers has also increased. And as the new plans have come into place, the benefits have also decreased from the previous plans. So what we expect is that as those populations in the green bars, the solid green bars here on the slide, as they increase and take over more of the retirement system, that will be a tipping point that will help the system overall get much more acceleration towards 100 funded status. This same thing, looking at just the all other employees, same thing. What we need is we need for a lot of these pre-2012 employees, they will be moving closer to retirement. And when that happens, there will be an increase in the amount of those employees that are in the post-2012 tier. So for the County of Maui, employer contributions to the retirement system, contributions are based on a percentage of payroll. So for your employees, whether they be general employees or police and fire employees, there's a rate that the county is going to contribute for your employees based on their salaries. The amount that the county has been contributing to the ERS has been growing. It is currently in the neighborhood of about $68 million a year. For general employees, the county as an employer contributes 24% of their salary. And then for police and firefighters and corrections officers, you're contributing 41% of their salaries to the ERS. There are also other contributions that are out of the norm for these. For example, if there are any pension spiking incidents for any of your employees when they retire, if there is pension spiking determined, the county pays for the amount of that particular employee's increase to the total liability because of their pension spiking experience. This is the amount of incidents or retiree county of Maui retirees who have been determined to have spiked their pension. And in fiscal year 25, there were 60 employees that by there are 60 employees, retirees that have been determined by statute to have spiked their pension. And that has resulted in a charge to the county of $6.5 million for fiscal year 25. Just real quickly, a little bit on the ERS portfolio performance. We're currently in excess of about $25 billion in assets. The rate of return for the entire fund is currently, with 6 months concluded through December 31st, was tracking at about 4.9%, which puts us slightly ahead of our progress needed. We assumed and target a 7% rate of return. And given the current volatility in the first quarter of this calendar year, the third quarter of the fiscal year, we are slightly off of the mark, lost some ground, but the portfolio is actually pretty well balanced and is structured or geared towards providing a very narrow band of performance so that we don't take major losses when there are shocks to particular segments of the market, such as in equities. But we have a much more risk diversified approach so that it limits really excessive top line growth, but also prevents and mitigates against losing out on the bottom. And it is distributed across a lot of different forms of investments. They include US and global international equities, but also we have some private credit, private equity. There are some novel investment strategies or programs that comprise the entirety of the portfolio. So this shows you the historical progress towards our 100% funded status. And as you can see here, what you should take away is that with each year that has progressed since 2022, we have picked up 1 year closer towards fully funded status. So that is on par. 1 year progress, 1 year closer. But you also can see that before 2022, there were instances where the funded status dramatically increased, accelerated on a calculated basis. For example, in 2016, and the initial year when we started actually having to track to a 30-year funded status by statute. In that first year, based on performance and this review of our overall market valuation, the progress picked up 4 years in the initial year, kind of flattened out for the next several years until we hit back on mark in 2020 to make 26 years of funded status. But then since then has pretty steadily declined, right on track for 21 years worth of funding. So we are in 2025 compared to 2016, we are right where it was forecasted or predicted that we would be. This is just to let you know that there is an actuarial stress test that is done by the retirement system. The stress test is to verify and validate that the funded status progress is meeting along with the expected performance. So assumptions are holding true on average and that we are progressing through the closer to funded status. The stress test also takes into account potential low return environments. Some people may think that we are in that this year will be a low return environment. certainly for equities maybe. But the stress test looks at how does the system be able to survive and sustain, reduce or mitigate falling off of the assumptions in order to secure continued progress to the full funded status. Okay, lastly, I'd like to conclude with a number of legislative bills that are specifically related to the employee retirement system. They will all have applications to the County of Maui as well. So the one that I wanted to reference you to is SB 3096 to start. If you remember, I had asked you to remember about the funded status for police and fire employees, and the growth in their funded status, the growth in their total liability and progress to funded status is due to, or the lack of growth in terms of progress in terms to the funded status is largely due to two factors. One being the rate of increases that the police and fire have experienced over the last several years in terms of compensation adjustments has been more than the assumed rate of progress. And then secondly, the actual experience of police and fire retirees over the last several years has been more than the assumed rate. So compensation at career ending compensation has been more than was assumed in the calculation. Now, this could be partially spiking because there are totally legitimate, most of the instances I think are legitimate reasons why people will end their career at a higher pay than the average over their career. But all of this to say that that's the contributing factor as to why the police and fire are not progressing as steadily as the entire system or as the general employees. So the way to address that is we are proposing to increase the employer contribution, not the employee contribution, just the employer contribution by 3%. Now, if you remember on the previous slides, police and fire, employer currently contributes 41% of their pay to police and fire. If this bill were to pass, it would mean that the employer contribution would be increased to 44%, a 3% increase. The ERS is, of course, supporting and recommending this bill. We have spoken with your county administration about this bill. We have been open to working with the county in terms of how this could be afforded more effectively over the next couple of years. HB 2358 would change the ERS membership possibilities for elective officers. So people who are elected, such as yourselves. It would also add, separately from that, a reclassification of the Department of Law Enforcement, State Department of Law Enforcement, for a number of their staff to be considered contributory members as well. This bill is expected to cross, so both of those bills are expected to cross, so they will be alive for the second half of the legislative session. And then SB 99 would allow this is a return to work bill, meaning under the statute, there are certain instances where certain departments in certain employee class types, you could hire back a retiree, or you could hire a retiree, and it would not result in a loss of that retiree's pension. But it would also require continued contributions from the employer to the retirement system. And in all of those instances, the retiree doesn't see their pension benefits enhanced while they are working. These are only for certain employees under certain conditions, namely labor shortage or hard to fill positions. Your Department of Human Resources might declare certain positions. And it is not typical or not usually allowed for a person to double dip, collect the pension and a government salary at the same time. That bill is also crossing over to the House, so that bill will also be alive the second half of the session. On this slide are three bills that the update for them is that they did not make the legislative deadline on Friday. So these bills are actually not considered alive. But when I did provide this presentation to you last week, they were. So just real fast, all of these are more return to work bills. And the real change for a lot of these is that definition of labor shortage or hard to fill or what could be classed as unique and critical to operations, adding that type of description to the statute, or filling shortage positions for succession planning purposes. These are all, again, return to work bills that would allow employers to hire back retirees into government service. And then finally, if any of you have any questions or any of your viewers or constituents have any questions about the retirement system, they can access our website. It's listed here. They can call in to our main line, and a retirement counselor can be assigned to them. And with that, happy to answer any questions that you may have, Madam Chair, or any of your members.
Thank you very much, Mr. Young, for the presentation. Before I turn it over to the members, 3 minutes per each for questions. How much does the County of Maui, how much do we need to pay for unfunded liabilities at this point?
Yes, so that's a good question. The employers currently do not pay directly for the unfunded liability per se. The amount that the employers and the employees contribute, a portion of that contribution is to what's called the normal cost, meaning that particular person's progress towards a pension, you're contributing that up front, and that's what gets invested. But for every employee, there's also a portion that's for the funded liability or the unfunded liability. So, and that amount differs by employee depending upon which pension program tier they are in. So for example, for general employees, if you remember that slide, you currently are paying 24% of every general employee's salary compensation into the retirement system. If they were employees that were hired after 2012, a larger portion of that contribution is being sent to their unfunded, towards the system's unfunded contribution, okay? That you may have another employee where you're gonna pay the same 24%, but if that person was hired, say, before 2012, or even before 2004 or 2006, when the hybrid plan was, their could be a larger portion of that same 24% is being paid towards the employee's normal cost. And a smaller portion is being contributed towards the unfunded liability status. So it does differ based on the employee's program tier, but the amount that the county is paying for the entirety of the for its employees into the retirement system, that's the number that you should be consciously aware of. I'm trying to pull it up again. It is that slide on slide numbered 11, roughly about $65 to $67 million a year.
I'm going to open up for public testimony. Do we have anybody?
Chair, we don't have anyone signed up to testify on this item, so we'll do a last call. If there is anyone who'd like to testify on this item, please identify yourself now. On Teams, you can do that by raising your hand. We'll do a countdown. 3, 2, 1. Chair, there's no one signed up to testify on this item.
Thank you. With your permission, members, I'm going to close public testimony on this item and receive written. Thank you. All right, so 3 minutes per member, and I'll start with our Vice Chair, Member Batangan.
Thank you, Chair. Question, what happens to inactive, non-vested members if they never vest? Are they able to get their contributions to ERS back? And what happens if they pass? Does the ERS system make a return of their contributions to the estate of the former employee?
Yes. So you can keep if you have an employee, they can keep their monies in the system after they quit, assuming that they didn't vest. So there's 2 options. They could take their money out, which means they would get all of their contributions, not the employer's contributions, but any contributions that they made while they were employed. They can get that back at any time after they leave government service. And their opportunity to accumulate a pension, if they should come back to work in state or county, that's going to stop once they take it out. If a person has money in that fashion at the retirement system but doesn't take it out, it's going to sit there. If that person passes, that money is going to eventually be turned over to the state unclaimed properties, so that that person's estate can pursue and get their refund.
Thank you, Chair. No other questions.
Okay, thank you. Chair Lee, followed by Member Paulton.
Thank you. Hi, Calbert. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, Madam Chair.
Okay, so my understanding is years ago, the state legislature raided the fund, ERS. And that's one of the reasons why we're in a sort of deficit position today. Is that correct?
That is my understanding. Yeah.
Do you think they're looking at it again, even though we don't have excesses, but we're very close to being even again? So are we in danger of that happening again?
I don't think so. So the result of there was a lawsuit that the ERS filed back when this would have been several gubernatorial administrations ago, but recent. So just before about the change in the in the early 2000s. The result of that lawsuit was that the state should not have been withdrawing or pulling down in violation of the established statutes, the contributions that are supposed to be made to the pension system. And there's been legislation since then to more solidify the requirements for the employer to contribute to the pension system. So I would say, we're on good progress. I personally feel that with time, we will get there closer to 100%. I'm also hopeful that it will happen sooner than 21 years. But we did lose a lot of ground. My understanding is that the pension system pre-2000 was was more than 63, more than 70, more than 80+% funded at the time. So losing that progress did set it back a ways. And then coupled with a recession that followed with a significant downturn in the market, that also further reduced the overfunding status.
Okay, thank you very much, and again, good to see you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair Lee. Next, we have Member Paulton, followed by, Member Johnson didn't join us yet, followed by Member Rollins-Fernandez.
Thank you, Chair. Before my time starts, I just wanted to mention that I only have 3 minutes, so if I get my answer, I'm gonna cut you off, and I don't mean to be rude.
Okay, I will be quick.
Thank you. Good to see you. I'm assuming, congratulations on your job. Mr. Williams must have retired then.
Yes,
Oh.
he did.
Congratulations to him. My first question is, could Maui County, if the bill for an increased 3% for police and fire doesn't pass, voluntarily add that on?
I'm always happy to take money if you give it to me, give it to us, but actually, I would not recommend it because under the statute, there is no way for the employee retirement system right now to
Direct
credit
it to Maui
to
County.
individual employers different than any other employer
Got
the
it.
progress towards
Thank
funded
you.
status. So I wouldn't recommend that you
Voluntarily.
advance pay just yet.
The next question I had is, do you know what the number is specifically for Maui County that are active and can retire as of June 30th?
That I do not know.
Okay. And then my last question would be, I was wondering if you could give us the legal definition of pension spiking. When I started for the county, I made little bit, and now I make plenty, and I only have like 3 years left.
Yes. Sorry, let me pull up this, my
Hopefully,
notes
3
here.
years left.
Okay,
Or less.
so pension spiking is actually defined in Hawaii revised statutes. So there is a formula, and essentially, just to be quick, what it does is when you retire or when someone retires, the ERS is going to look at the average final compensation for a period of time just ahead of their retiring. So 5
Like their
years.
high 3 or
So
5 years?
No. So the high 3 is across your entire career. What are the 3 highest 12-month periods? And what's the average compensation that you received across each of those 12-month periods? So that's the high 3. Employees hired after a certain date, 2012, they're actually on a high 5. So it's that same math over 5, your 5 12 months. They don't have to be consecutive. They don't have to be right before you retire. What were the 5 highest 12 months of earning? But for spiking, whether you're high 3 or high 5, you have that number. The ERS is going to look at the last 5 years of that person's compensation before they retired, the absolute date they retired, and do a calculation about if that amount is a percentage higher than what their average final compensation is for their high 3 or high 5. And if it is more than a certain percent, 20%, then that that is going to declare that there was pension spiking. At the end of their career, they spiked their pension just by working or getting excess compensation in their last few years of employment.
And then we have to pay a penalty if there's a certain number of employees that spiked.
For any employee that's determined to have spiked, the employer is going to pay the cost of that liability. So there's no cost, if you will, to the employee, but to the employer, you're going to get a bill. And on the slide that
6.5.
I had presented,
Yeah, I
yeah,
saw.
we had about 60 Maui County retirees in 2020, fiscal year 2025, that were determined to have spiked their pension, and that resulted in a bill to the county for $6.5 million.
Thank you. I heard my time limit. Thank you for and good luck in your new career. Don't be scared to come back to Maui County if you ever want to. Aloha.
Thank you, Counselor.
I agree on that. Next, we have Member Rollins Fernandez.
Mahalo, Chair. Aloha, Mr. Young. Mahalo for being with us. Nice to see you.
Very nice seeing you.
Okay. I think I said I have 3 sets of questions. The first set is, well, I guess I can start with spiking, since that's where you left off with Member Paulton. Okay. So the 60 individuals who spiked their pension, let's see, so 2012, it's 2026. So 14 years later. But the spiking is based off of monitoring the last 5 years. So this probably happened before the 2012 legislation to mitigate the spiking. And so it is the 60 individuals who spiked their pensions because the county did not monitor that correctly, or because I've been monitoring this issue since I learned about what it was. And Civil Beat does a pretty good job at reporting on this, because it's not a Maui County problem, unique to our county. And oftentimes, we've seen this in fire and police, where they spike their pensions by loading overtime, so that their base salary, the overtime actually doubles their base salary. So I guess I thought that after 2012, there was better safeguards in place that would prevent this from happening, but it sounds like we just check the 5 years, see if they spiked it, and if they did, then we pay a penalty. So it's on the county as the employer to ensure that individual employees are not spiking their pensions.
When the pension spiking bill was proposed at the legislature, the original version contemplated that the employer and the employee, or the retiree, would share proportionately the pension spiking expense. But what passed was that only the employer would contribute towards the pension spiking. The reasoning being was that the employer should have the ability to limit overtime, which is what most of the instances of pension spiking is attributable to, overtime or increased rate of overtime at the end of the career. That the employer could deny overtime, control overtime, and therefore that's why the employer, if there is a spiking event, the employer should pay the liability.
Okay, I heard the timer. I still have more questions, so I'll come back on my second round.
Okay, thank
Mahalo,
you.
Mr. Young.
Thank you very much. Member Cook.
I don't have any questions right now.
Thank you. Member Hodgins.
Thank you, Chair. I too am interested in the employee spiking, but I'll let the other two members handle that line of questioning for now. If you may, Mr. Young, thank you so much for being with us. Can you talk to me about our underperforming investments? 7% in the last few years. Do we expect that to continue? Right now, our national economy is not that hot as we're in the middle of a war. What can we expect looking forward?
Yes. So the way the portfolio has been structured, we're pretty confident that the rate of performance will be very narrow for the pension portfolio. Even in years such as the last three, when the S&P had, well past 15 to 22% gains in the equity markets, our portfolio didn't do anything close to that, but was still positive. And it's close around the 7%. Right now, we expect that the portfolio will also perform similarly in a down market. Where we're not believing that we're going to see like a negative performance, but it will be somewhat mitigated. So it could be positive, but it will be better than the overall market in the down markets. That's how the portfolio has been structured. It's been this way in this approach, this investment approach, for roughly the last 15 years. And that came out of a significant recession downturn in the equity markets in a couple consecutive years, which really crushed the ERS's portfolio because it was more heavily weighted in equities, in the equity market at the time.
Thank you. Do you think we're going into another recession? What do you think our economy looks like in the next few years? As it relates to ERS, but as it relates to how we need to budget for our ERS?
Well, a lot of financial gurus have been predicting a recession, but it's been, 4 years running. And in terms of investment performance, other than, this year, the investment performance the last 5 years has been pretty good if you were in equities. I think for the ERS, we are watching for where there will be increased levels of risk and volatility in our portfolio, in which sectors.
Okay.
And some of those, we will be evaluating how much risk does the ERS want to assume in exchange for higher rates of possible return. I will tell you that from an investment structure perspective, the portfolio is very risk adverse, meaning we have very low levels of risk and are receiving excess returns relative to that risk. So that's great in bull markets or great in bear markets, as long as you're willing to sacrifice what is like maximum risk top line returns in order to give up what could be very detrimental declines. So, I would say from what I've seen thus far, we should all, as employers and as members of the retirement system, we have good reason to be very confident and comfortable that we are on the right path, even in the current market environment.
Okay. Thank you. I heard the bow, Chair. Thank you very much, Mr. Young.
Thank you. So members, UH will be presenting to us at our next BFED meeting, just to talk about exactly that question about how are we doing. So we can ask all those questions also to them. Next, we have Member Sinensi.
Thank you, Chair, and mahalo, Mr. Young, and congratulations on your new position. And Member Uwu Hodgins had kind of asked my question about how do we determine, those investments against the current market. So mahalo for that. Just a clarification with you mentioned that we're 64%. Did you say that we're good for the next 20 years of that 64% commitment?
No, the 64% just means how close are we to being fully funded? Meaning, when the ERS gets to be fully funded, a lot of costs potentially for the employers could get reduced. Because you're paying right now to address the unfunded portion of the liability, meaning the 34%, I'm sorry, 36% that's unfunded. We're paying a lot to address that. We need to get to 100% funded status as fast as possible. Right now, on the current assumptions, it's 21 years. So if we do everything, it's like, I'll use the mortgage analogy. If you paid whatever your monthly mortgage is, assuming you have a fixed rate mortgage, in 30 years, you'll pay that thing to zero. Your liability will be zero. You'll be 100% funded for your home. That's the same type of analogy that we are talking here. We're not fully funded yet. We're progressing. We're only 63% funded. Another one that I hear a lot of members that relate to, so Social Security, which is not funded in the same way that our pension program is funded, but Social Security is expected to be, or believed to be, insolvent sometime in around 2034, at which time Social Security is forecasted it would only be able to pay 80% of its benefits, 80% of the benefits. If you take that 80% in terms of how short Social Security be and relate that to like the ERS, which again is not the same in terms of how the investments or benefits are afforded, but the pension system is currently 64% funded. So by that mark, I would say we're actually not even close to being as secure as Social Security. Social Security is still forecasted that it would be 80% funded.
Okay, thank you for that clarification and the correlation. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I think some of you have a round two set of questions. Anybody? Shirley? Okay, Shirley.
Thank you. Calbert, following up on some of the other members' questions, the 7.5% return on investments, how much was invested to get the return, and what was that return?
So in the current or the most recently concluded fiscal year, roughly 95% of the portfolio was invested in some form of return. The rest is like liquidity to make pension payments. So to achieve that on average, roughly about 7% return, that's a return on the entire portfolio.
Which is how much in dollars?
It's just shy of 26 billion.
Did you say billion or million?
Billion with a B.
Billion.
Yeah.
Okay, so invested 26 billion and a 7.5% return is how much in dollars?
Sorry, I'm gonna make sure before I tell you. It's roughly about 1.8 billion.
Okay, so for 1.8 billion invested, the return was 26 billion?
For 26 billion invested, we earned 1.8 billion.
Oh, okay, earned, okay. All right, okay, thank you, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Shirley. Anybody else have any more questions? Member Rollins Fernandez?
Mahalo, Chair. Just to finish up the spiking. So this is from an article last year on Civil Beat. When Corporal Thane Costa left the HPD in 2020 after 28 years on the force, he had collected enough overtime to drive up the cost of his retirement by more than $1.5 million. The base pay for a corporal ranges from $72,000 to $100,000. Costa, who was already making the highest base salary of his career, clocked more than 2,480 hours of overtime in fiscal year 2020. Costa is at the top of the list, but he's just one of at least a dozen examples, all police officers in Honolulu and Maui County, who have surpassed the $1 million mark in recent years. Honolulu has had to fork up more than $11 million in unexpected pension costs for just 9 retired police officers. In Maui County, 2 police lieutenants and a sergeant are projected to cost taxpayers more than $3.3 million on top of their expected pension. The cost to taxpayers has gone up too. Excess pension costs in 3 counties and the state have more than doubled. Only Kauai saw a decrease in 16%. Excess overtime, officials say, doesn't necessarily point to nefarious spiking. It may also speak to overtime due to staffing shortages. Which goes back to one of our own challenges that we're facing in our county, filling the vacancies. Okay, so my question, my 2 other sets of questions that I wanted to follow up on was one, I think that was either 10 million or 10 billion that's in private equities. And I'm guessing the private equities are Blackstone or BlackRock, Vanguard, and those private equity firms. And then, often those, invest in war and oil and things that we, don't necessarily support here, but are contributing through our investments. So I was hoping that you could speak to that and how we're investing in things that may be more aligned with our values. And I know that these types of private equities have a higher return than things that may align more with our values. And then the second set of questions is regarding the Chair Lee's questions about the state rating the ERS fund. And just to follow up on that, if there was any, I don't know, payback to the counties, because did the state also rate the counties' contributions? And if so, how were the counties made whole by the state? So those 2 sets of questions. Mahalo.
Okay. I'll start with the last one. Payback of the resolution of that lawsuit did not result in anyone putting back money into the pension system. So the state did not go back and contribute what should have been contributed over time. The way that that sifting of funds actually occurred, it wasn't actually money taken out of the pension system. What it was that the state said that employers could not contribute. You don't have to, let's take a holiday from contributing to the pension system. So it was a budget relieving approach, but in doing so, that means you lost progress towards funded status, and you had people that were earning benefits that you were not paying for. So that's what that for that period of time, and I believe it was more than 1 year, a couple of years or 2 years, that really accelerated the growth in the liability. So there wasn't any taking of the county's money per se, but to the extent that we all participate in the pension system and we all share this liability, that's one of the reasons why we are where we are at 63% funded. In terms of private equity, we have a number of investment managers in the private equity space. In terms of your your question regarding the types of companies or the industries that we invested in, I would say there are some restrictions in terms of our overall investment philosophy, if you will, of what we will invest in. But in totality, we are investing across the entire market. So I'm not going to tell you that we are not investing in, say, some companies or some investment programs that may be objectionable to you, or other, social governance platforms, because we have a lot of money invested across a lot of different avenues. And then, I'm sorry, I didn't quite get your question on the pension spiking with the Civil Beat article. Can you refresh my memory or refine what you are asking about?
Mahalo for your responses on the first two sets of questions. There wasn't a question for the spiking. I just wanted to state for the record an illustrative example of what the spiking is for the public and for the record.
Okay,
Mahalo.
Yes.
Mahalo, Chair.
thank you. Any other members have any questions before we go to the next item? No? Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Young. I'm going to send our deep appreciation and yes, welcome to your new position. We look forward to seeing you next year to give us an update. And before we turn this over, are you saying that for the Maui County, for us to fulfill our unfunded liability at this point is 65 to 67 million?
I'm sorry, I don't think I'm saying that. If hypothetically, if the county wanted to address its total portion of the unfunded liability,
Yes.
I couldn't tell you what amount that would be. But it's some portion of $14 billion.
Okay. So I thought in the past, what we were doing was paying more so that we could bring our unfunded liability down to, a better number. So is there a way that you could tell us if you did some research?
So this will provide, this will be a long explanation, Chair, but it's historical and particularly relevant because some of the council members, yourself included, Chair Lee, will remember this to back when I was the county's finance director. So this was around circa 2002 to 2010. So back then, there's two unfunded liabilities. One is the employee retirement system. The other is the employer union trust fund, the EUTF, which I think you're going to be getting a presentation next week. And so I'm going to give you some things to keep in mind when you see their presentation. But back in 2002, the EUTF there was an accounting rule that was implemented. You had to calculate OPEB, other employee benefits other than pension, okay? That's the EUTF. And at the time, unlike the ERS, which is technically a pre-funded program, meaning you pay in today for a benefit you're going to extract later, okay? EUTF was not that. There was no corpus. So every employee and every retiree that was entitled to a medical insurance benefit in retirement, the employer, the last known employer for that person, would have to remit money every year to pay that benefit premium. Okay. So there were two liabilities, two unfunded liabilities. Both of them, because of the accounting rules, were going to get placed on government financial statements. The County of Maui around 2004-ish had desired to start paying to the EUTF to advance pay. So to start building the corpus. The county at the time wanted to had the resources that you could start trickling away at it. However, under the way the EUTF was structured by statute, there was no way that an employer like the county could pay more and have that money be attributable to just that person or that employer's liability. If we had paid more, it would have gone into the entire system and would have been diffused for other employees, retirees, other than the counties. So the county decided not to remit. However, the county was still interested in funding this in advance. So the county created, there's an ordinance, right, that you folks are to I think it's like employee liability fund or something like that, benefits fund. And the county was putting money into this fund that it could point to its auditors and accountants and investors, bond buyers, that the county has this major liability at the state EUTF, but then there's also this corpus of funds that the county was building to address that liability when such a time came that the county would be allowed to pay it to the ETF. That time came in 2015, 16, around there, when the state legislature changed the statute for the EUTF to allow for pre-funding. And certain counties had followed Maui County's lead, because Maui County was literally the first county to create this separate fund. And over the course of several years had built up an amass. Other counties had also done the same thing. When in 2015, when the state allowed for employers to pre-fund EUTF, the County of Maui at some point or at time started moving monies to pre-fund ETF, other employers too. So and then the state legislature came with a separate, a subsequent bill that requires employers to pay what is called the actuarially required contribution, the ARC, okay? Employers have to pay the calculated ARC to reduce to zero the liability within 30 years. And this was like back in like 2016. So we're 10 years into this now, okay? So employers absolutely can advance pay into the EUTF and have their total liability reduced. On the ERS side, although the ERS is a pre-funded program, you're contributing now for benefits later, there is not a mechanism in the statute or within the way the ERS is administrated, where I could take an extra dollar from you and attribute it only to your portion of the liability. So that is something that I will probably be looking at over the next several years about how that could be implemented if we can get there. The spoiler alert trailer that I would tell you to keep in mind when you listen to the EUTF next week is that, bearing in mind that back in 2004, there was zero corpus in the EUTF, meaning they were 100% unfunded because it was only pay as you go, okay? Keep that in mind. when you see the progress right now, as of last year, they are more than 50% funded, okay? And in total, but some employers are going to be 100% funded this fiscal year, are forecasted to be 100% funded this coming fiscal year. One of them is the County of Maui, okay? And what's the implications for taxpayers, for residents of the County of Maui? When you get to be 100% funded, you no longer have to contribute towards the funded liability, the unfunded portion of the liability. So your costs, your county costs in the budget should go down. That will be a payment that you won't have to make anymore, okay? And it's because County of Maui and a couple of other employers have accelerated paying. So in the 10 plus years since the EUTF started with its ability to develop a corpus, it has quickly reached a level of funded status that rivals the ERS, right? The ERS will likely get lapped by the EUTF in terms of funded progress because of commitments from employers such as the county to pay more and often and earlier.
Okay. That's good news. Thank
Yep.
you. Thank you very much, Mr. Young. So I am going to, with your permission, defer this item. And it is now 10:29. So I'm going to take a 10-minute recess, members, and then come back and take up the second item. Thank you very much, Mr. Young. Really appreciate it. And nice seeing you again. We will now
Nice seeing
go.
all of you.
Yeah, nice seeing you.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. We're in recess till 10:40. Welcome back to the Budget Finance Economic Development Committee. It is now 10:50. We are on the second item on the agenda, which you know is Bill 102, and we're amending the fiscal year 26 budget, Appendix A, Part 2, Open Space, Natural Resources, Cultural Resources, and Scenic Views Preservation Fund, and Resolutions 25-53 authorizing the acquisition of real property located at 104A Lower Wai'ehu Beach Road, Wailuku, also known as Kai'ehu Bay. So as you know, members, this item, we took it up and it was to amend fiscal year 26 budget, which I just read. The bill would add a new appropriation of $500,000 for the acquisition of Kai'ehu Bay in Wailuku, while the resolution grants the council's approval to acquire the property. Members may recall the committee previously considered this matter in 2025 and deferred the item to allow the administration to address questions related to the property's title. Since that time, the seller has attested that they hold clear title to the property, and the Department of Finance has transmitted an updated title report dated December 26, 2025, and an updated appraisal report dated January 6, 2026 for the committee's review. For your information, members, those documents are in Granicus number 16. For if you want to look at it, the bill would also delete the prior year appropriation of $1.3 million for the acquisition of real property identified as tax map key 246007037 located at 131 Shaw Street, Lahaina. Assisting us with our discussion today is Budget Director, Chief of Staff Lalo, Director Martin, Land Acquisition Officer Hironaka. So I'd like to ask for opening comments first from Chief of Staff, Ms. Lalo. No, not you. Is it Budget Director or is it Finance?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, council members. Yes, I think Chief of Staff Lalo and I are happy to be here as resources today, but we'll defer to Finance on any opening comments related to the acquisition of this parcel. Thank you, Chair.
Is it Mr. Hironaka?
Yes, I saw earlier that he was online. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Hironaka, welcome.
Good morning, Chair. Finance is here for any questions as a resource that the members may have.
Okay, so no other, all right, so we'll take public testimony.
Yes, Chair. The first person signed up to testify is Scott Miller, to be followed by Anna Del Yahiro.
Mr. Miller?
Good morning, council people. Mahalo. My name is Scott Miller. One moment, okay.
I'm sorry, I should read what is our public testimony rules, as I'm so used to having some people often testify. So basically, if you could state your name, you'll be given 3 minutes and 30 minutes to complete if you do not finish. Anybody else that wants to testify, please sign up in the lobby area. I think you already have. And thank you very much for sitting with us, and you can begin. Thank you.
Before I begin, I wanted to ask my kupuna to come in and, be with us. I'm testifying on Bill 102, Resolution 2553. Like I said, my name is Scott Miller, and the property that they're talking about is known as Churches, Lower Wai'ehu, a popular place for me because I was born and raised there. Fishing, surfing, and, just holding them down. This goes to like my cousin, Henry Mile. I know you guys don't know all about him. He was holding that property down for years. But, out of due respect for him, he just passed like a month ago. But the area there is like so beautiful. I mean, it's like any place on Maui that, you know, things change, but in Wai'ehu, Lower Wai'ehu, especially over there, I have like ohana that have remains, you know, my 3 brothers, my niece, and, you know, it's just, I mean, totally against this bill anyway. But thank you for this opportunity, and mahalo. If you have any questions, be okay.
Thank you. Members' questions. Member Paulton.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Miller. So just wanted to clarify, you want us to vote no is your request.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members have questions? See none. So our condolences to the family. I would speak with Henry Mayo. He would call me periodically. So thank you very much.
Mahalo.
Thank you.
Mahalo for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Next testifier.
Chair, the next testifier is Annabelle Yahiro, to be followed by Dane Mayo.
Aloha Council members. My name is Anna Dalia Hero. I was born and raised in Wai'ehu, where this property is. So I'm very familiar with the property and the area. I am reading a testimonial from my cousin who was also born and raised in that area and was not able to be here. His name is Charles Mauna Loa Namau Raposo, and he opposes the passage of Resolution 25-53, authorizing the acquisition of the property at 104A Lower Wai'ehu Beach Road. And this is the former site of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I lived there when the building, the structure was there. I can see it in my, right now, how it stood there. I have a picture of it on my wall with my big tutu there. My big tutu, who authorized the move of this building from Upper Wai'ehu to that location there. There was no deed that transferred the property to the Mormon church. There was no deed. It was aloha. Bring the church here. It rains in the mountain and too much mud. So come down here so that we don't have to deal with that. That is the story that was told while we were growing up from our kupunas. My mother told me that story way back when. Yeah, Tutu man, he didn't like the muddy ness up in the valley, so that's why they moved the church down here. I'm not a part of the Mormon church. I was never a Mormon, although my family is. But I went to the church that is still standing there, the Protestant church. So we went by there every Sunday past the church. So greeted our family and friends who were there at that church. Charles, who we called Billy Boy, he has fond memories of that place also, as I do. He was a 25-year veteran of both the Honolulu and Maui Police Department, 20 years retired and living in Kula at this time. But he is greatly saddened by this request of the church because he is a member of the church, as a lot of my family is. So they are very sad that this is taking place by the church. Okay?
Thank you. Anybody have questions? Member Paulton.
Chair.
Oh, sorry. Mr. Senenci also. Member Paulton first and then Member Senenci. Is it okay?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for your testimony. So is your cousin is approaching the Church of Latter-day Saints to not sell it? Is that
That's correct.
okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Member Sinensi.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for your testimony this morning. So you're saying that the property was under the family prior, but had gifted it to the Church of Latter-day Saints for, to have the church there, and now the church has put it up for sale.
The church has put the property up for sale, but the land was never legally given to the church. There was no written document back then. That's over 50
Yeah.
years ago. There was no document saying that I give you this land so you can put your church here. My grandfather, my Big Tutu, was a member of the church. He went to the church in Upper Wai'ehu, and when they decided that, it was just too muddy up there, so let's bring the church down toward the beach where it's drier and we don't have to deal with all this rain and mud, and that is the
And I
story
only
that
asked-
I heard from my mother.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I only ask because we have similar stories in East Maui as well, where families had gifted the church properties and then they turn around 50 years later and they sell it and not return it to the families.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. No other questions. Thank you very much.
Aloha.
Thank you.
Chair, I think there is a question from the
Oh,
members.
sorry. Member
Mahalo,
Batangan has a question for you.
Sorry, Member Rollins Fernandez.
Oh, sorry. Member
Mahalo,
Rollins
Member
Fernandez.
Batangan. Aloha, mahalo for your testimony. So I'm not sure if you remember the date, but was that like around 1938 or like 1930s, 40s?
That the church was moved?
Yeah.
That sounds correct, because in the 50s, that's when I was born. And the church was there, and it was already being used, by parishioners. So I'm not quite sure of the exact date, but that sounds appropriate.
Okay, mahalo.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Okay.
Next testifier, and Member Johnson, welcome to the meeting. I'm sorry I didn't introduce you earlier.
Thank you, Chair. There wasn't any testifiers at the Lanai District Office, and sorry for my tardiness. The ferry got canceled due to the upcoming weather, and so I got on the first boat I could. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for being here.
Chair, the next person signed up to testify is Dane Mayo, to be followed by Lala Johnson.
Aloha, Chair and council members. My name is Dane Henry Kamikiokea Oehu Dixon Mayo. I'm here today on behalf of my family and in honor of my grandfather, Henry Mayo Jr. My grandfather spent many years fighting in the Maui court systems over this land because he believed the title being relied upon was incorrect and that our family's rights were never properly recognized. He fought for years because he believed the truth needed to be heard and the history of the land deserved to be respected. Sadly, my grandfather passed away on January 29, 2026. Even in his final years, he continued gathering documents, submitting testimony to County and Maui, challenging the claim that the LDS Church holds clear title to this property. In the county's legislative record regarding Bill 102, 2025, and Resolution 25-53, the property at 104A Lower Wai'ehu Beach Road is proposed to purchase from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, approximately for $480,000. However, that purchase assumes the church holds valid title to the land. My grandfather strongly disputed that claim. He submitted documentation showing that the claim that he submitted, My grandfather strongly disputed that claim. He submitted documentation showing title relied upon traces back to transfer involving Wailuku Sugar Company in 1938, which our family believes did not have lawful ownership of that land. If a party does not lawfully own the land, they cannot legally transfer it. Because of this, the chain of title may not be valid. Today, I stand here to continue the legacy of my grandfather that he fought for. I am not here to disrespect the church or the colony. I'm simply here asking council to recognize that there is a serious and long-standing dispute regarding the title to this property. Because this dispute exists and public funds are being used for this purchase, I respectfully ask the council to make sure that this title to this land is truly clear before moving forward. My grandfather dedicated years of his life to bring this matter forward. I stand here today to continue the legacy he left behind and to make sure his voice is not forgotten. Mahalo for allowing me the opportunity to speak.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Dane?
Yes. I have a
Shirley?
question.
Okay.
Yeah,
Shirley?
thank you. Okay, for the speaker, thank you for your testimony. You mentioned that your grandfather disputed the claim of the title. Did he take this matter to court? Do you know who he had conversations with?
Yes, I'm still looking into it. I'm going through the over 6 bins of papers that he left behind, but I am finding a lot of important documents that lead into this case right now.
Okay, so you don't know if this matter was ever taken to court, filed in court?
I'm sure to find something, but for right now, I'm still looking into it for this first case,
Okay.
but yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions? Seeing none, thank you very much. Next
you.
testifier, please.
Chair, the next person signed up to testify is Lala Johnson, to be followed by Jocelyn Costa.
Aloha mai kako, Chair and Council members. Olala Johnson Ko'inoa of Wai'ehu. My testimony today raises a concern regarding the preliminary report dated January 31st, 2025, prepared by the Title Guarantee of Hawaii and attached to Resolution 25-53, which I oppose. The report references on April 26, 1938, recorded instrument and describes it as a deed. However, the actual instrument recorded as Liber 1439, page 282, is not a deed. It is an indenture, a document structured to establish mutual obligations, covenants, and conditions, not a one-way transfer of ownership. I personally reviewed this instrument, the Liber 1439, page 282, and based on on the review, the document is clearly an indenture, not a deed as described in your report. Because recorded instruments provide constructive notice of their actual contents, any mischaracterization can affect the interpretation of the chain of title. This instrument dates to 1938, during the territorial period of Hawaii, when many land instruments were structured as indentures, specifically to preserve conditions or obligations attached to the land, rather than simply transferring ownership. Given this discrepancy, the question before the council is not whether the public or us must prove the report wrong, but whether the county has independently verified that the instrument has been correctly identified and interpreted. If the original document was not reviewed, I respectfully request that the council pause reliance on the preliminary report until verification is completed. For many of us, like our ohana, my ohana here, and the Kanaka Maolis, land records are not merely technical documents. Our history shows our errors in interpreting records can affect stewardship and rights connected to the aina. When we speak about land, we speak about aina that carries our mo'ukuauhau, our genealogy, our kuleana, our responsibility, and the well-being of future generations. Furthermore, under Article 18, Section 9 of the Constitution of the State of Hawaii, the state and its political subdivisions are entrusted with the proper management and protection of land and natural resources. Accurate categorization of the historical instrument, like this lever, is essential to fulfilling that constitutional duty. When this characterization of a record and land instrument is in question, the responsible course is to verify the original record before relying on secondary interpretations. Doing so protects the integrity of the council's decision and ensures that the land decisions honor both historical obligations and the public trust. I respectfully request that the council verify the instrument at Liber 1439, page 282, and include this concern in the legislative record. Mahalo nui for your time and for your careful stewardship of our lands and record. I will be with my testimony that I'll be giving to the clerk. I will enclose the indenture that is requested or was put upon that report, which was 1439, 282, and it does state right at the top, this is an indenture. So, mahalo.
Thank you. Any questions for the testifier? Member Paulton has a question for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Ms. Johnson, for your testimony. My question is, when you said third party or independent verification, and it looks like from Title Guarantee of Hawaii LLC, what did you mean by like a third party or independent investigation? Like, what were you thinking of?
Third party. So I think what I was explaining, and I'll go through it again, is that the instrument, the recorded instrument that was used in the report,
The title guarantee.
the preliminary report, correct. It was stated deed. If you look at it, if you guys pull it up, it says deed, but it's not a deed. So there's an inaccuracy in that as well.
And also that's under exceptions, Schedule B exceptions of the report?
Yes. And so because it's not a deed, but it's stating that it is a deed, that's inaccuracy. So making sure that it's not misinterpreted.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Seeing none. All right,
Me?
thank you. Oh, Chair Lee,
Chair?
sorry,
Chair?
I didn't see you. Chair Lee has a question for you.
Okay.
Okay, with regard to the word indenture, in real estate, it's also considered a formal legally binding deed or contract. So what is your definition of indenture?
So from what I understand, and I also explained in my testimony, is that it's a document, right? And it's just structured. It's structured to establish like it's just a mutual obligation. It's covenants, it's conditions. It's not that one-way transfer of ownership. So it's not like saying you own the title. That's what an indenture is.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Next testifier.
Chair, the next person signed up to testify is Jocelyn Costa, to be followed by Cheryl Hota.
Nice to see you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Chair, before I begin, I want to ask for 30 seconds. 30 seconds of silence to remember not only Henry Mayo, but Bernadine Mayo as well. So just 30 seconds. Thank you. My name is Jocelyn Costa. I am indebted to Mr. Mayo. for his tenacious perseverance of truth. And when all else failed, he took a lock and a chain and he opened and notoriously took possession of what you're talking about for over 20 years. There was many adverse activities towards him to access that property, county included. And one of the things that helped to stop them from doing what they were going to do, which was create their own barrier, from the very beginning of that driveway are burials. So from the time you enter, you have already desecrated. I want you to sink that in your head. He also talked to me about this property being flipped. Now, the previous testifiers telling you where the church was, that's the original. What the family did was allow them usage. There is no building there anymore. So, and this happens a lot. In my studies, I've seen how it flips. When they relocate, now they assume the ownership someplace else when they were someplace else. There's a lot of gray here. But more so, what I want to talk to you about is internationally. You folks know that we are an occupied nation state. And in your capacity, with your oath to not just the state of Hawaii, but the United States, you have to take a look at what you can and cannot do with foreign land. And within the description, this land, according to your own paperwork, is 8559B Lunalilo. Charles Lunalilo. That is foreign to you. To move forward, you're going against your own oath, internationally, as well as domestically through your oath. I just wanted to submit and leave with you, because I've spoken about the Lunalilo lands, and you have pretty much all of the documents. What I want to leave with you is, which a lot of you are familiar, is a letter from Dr. Alfred Desaias, letting you know that this type of land is prohibited from being transferred at all in your capacity. Not just internationally, but in your own capacity. So I'm just giving you notice, and what I would like is for you to vacate this matter immediately.
Thank you. Any questions for the testifier? Seeing none. Thank you very much.
Chair, the last person we currently have signed to testify is Cheryl Hota.
Aloha, Chair Sugimura and council members. Oh, mahalo ke akua for this beautiful day in the Kingdom of Hawaii. Thank you, everybody, for being here. So, my name is Cheryl Hota, and I'm here to testify on Bill 102, Resol 25-53. Scott Miller has been my companion for 25 years, and you know, TMK 3-3-001-034 is not just 0.41 acres of vacant land. Have anyone in this council been to that property? Well, then you know it's very well maintained, it's protected, it's loved, and it's sacred land. Jocelyn just said there were bones there. History of family. I've been to ceremonies, burial ceremonies there. That's a living ancestral realm. They're present beneath the surface. They're there. So this is not just a 0.41 vacant land. And the stewards, the heirs of Pe'uhino, are the ones that I've seen there for the past 25 years, maintaining, protecting, and also the stream, Wai'ehu stream. They're there constantly cleaning that water mouth out. We always get the kahea, let's go and clean out that stream. Even the cemetery down the road, let's go and clean our cemetery. This is Pe'uhino land, so no, aole. I totally against Bill 102 and Resol 25-53 to purchase this parcel. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions for the testifier? Member Sinensi, one moment.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Ms. Lota, for your testimony. I did pass the property this morning while driving down to the beach park. You mentioned that there are family burial sites on the property.
I'm not sure about burial sites, but I have been there and witnessed burial ceremonies, scattering of ashes, taken out to a specific spot outside in the water. So we do practice a lot of sacred cultural ceremonies there, you know, as well as cultural things as massage. We offer massage for kupunas regularly and for the community there.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any other testifiers? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chair, there's currently no one else signed up to testify on this item, so we'll do a last call.
Someone's approaching.
Aloha, my name is Kaniali Williams. I'm testifying in opposition to Bill 102 and Resolution 25-53 concerning the acquisition of TMK 23-3-001-034. I'd like to discuss Sunshine Law. Per today's agenda, the following is written, quote, the committee is in receipt of the following, and then number 3, correspondence dated February 2nd, 2026 from the Director of Finance transmitting a title report dated December 26, 2025, and an appraisal report dated January 6, 2026 for TMK tax map key 233001034 at 104 A Lower Wai'ehu Beach Road, Wailuku, Maui, Hawaii, end quote. The only documents hyperlinked to the agenda is Bill 102 and Resolution 25-53, neither of which contain the correspondence dated February 2nd, 2026 from the Director of Finance, nor the title report dated December 26, 2025. Given that all testifiers who have testified today on this agenda item prior to myself also did not have access to those pertinent records described on the agenda, named on them, and that is needed in order to make a fully informed testimony on this agenda item, it would amount to a Sunshine Law violation. Given that the resolution states, quote, whereas the Director of Finance has determined that acquisition of the property is in the public interest, end quote, the December 26, 2025 title report being available to the public would be in the public's interest. Furthermore, given that the resolution contains an attached 7-page preliminary report dated January 31st, 2025, from Title Guarantee of Hawaii LLC, a title insurance company that does title reports, there is no excuse to why the December 26, 2025 title report that is actually named on the agenda has not been made available to the public for this agenda item this committee is voting on today. I will be submitting a complaint to the OIP, Office of Information Practices, for this Sunshine Law violation. I would also like to state for the record that at the beginning of my testimony, I also submitted a Uniform Information Practices Act public records request to Corporate Counsel and also Department of Finance for those two records described on the agenda. The correspondence dated February 2nd, 2026 from the Director of Finance, and the title report dated December 26, 2025. Attached to the WEPA public records request is a copy of the agenda as it's currently written, the Bill 102 attachment, and the Resolution 25-53, so that in fact there's further timestamp documentation of the Sunshine Law violation within the county system and in my email. Just as there's no excuse to why the correspondence and title report were not hyperlinked to the agenda in order for the public to see prior to making our testimony today, there's no excuse as to why It should not also be provided via the WIPA Public Records request within the allotted time. That will be grounds for a second sunshine law violation concerning this matter, and I will follow up with an additional complaint to the OIP if necessary. So however the committee members and corporate counsel decide to handle this matter today to make it appear that no sunshine law violation has occurred, just know it's already too late and you're being watched. Mahalo.
Thank you. Questions? Member Hutchins?
Sorry, you talk so fast, but
Yeah, we
thank
only
you
have
for
3
that.
minutes,
I know.
so I gotta
Can
cram
you
it all.
can you tell me you were looking for the report from 226? That's what you were looking for.
I'm looking for the December 26, 2025 title report. The only thing that's
December
inside.
26.
Yes, and that's what's named on the agenda.
Okay.
The only thing in the documents that have been provided to the public is the January 31st, 2025 preliminary report, which is prior to this title report. That is named on the agenda.
Okay. Thank you. I just
Or
wanted
maybe it was
to.
2025, I think, yeah. January 25 is the preliminary report. December 2025 is the title report as far as the agenda is written.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure I understood what you said. Thank you so much.
Yeah, plenty dates, sorry, I have to go back and forth.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody else have questions? Okay, thank you. We'll
Mahalo.
check. Oh, Member Paulton.
When I'm looking at what it says, is it the one number 3 that you says January 6, 2026 appraisal report?
No, so at the beginning it says the correspondence dated in February on number 3. That's the one thing that's not provided to us. The second thing is the title report that is named right after, which is December.
And we only have the preliminary title report dated December 26, 2025.
The only thing that's in the resolution is, I believe it's under the Schedule B, that's dated January 31st, 2025.
Not December 26, 2025.
Correct.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any more testifiers?
Chair, there's currently no one else signed up to testify, so we'll do a last call. If there is anyone who'd like to testify on this item, please identify yourself now. On Teams, you can do that by raising your hand. We'll do a countdown. 3, 2, 1. Chair, there is no one else to testify on this item.
Okay. With your permission, members, I'm going to close public testimony and receive written testimony. Thank you. Okay, so before we proceed, we will have the members ask questions, but I wanted to take what the last testifier said, and if we could have Corp Counsel or OCS or somebody comment on that. Then we can proceed. Mr. Hanano, or?
I see it December 26, 2025 at 8 a.m., but it's also a preliminary report. Is that the difference, that it should be not a preliminary report?
Corp Counsel or whoever.
I believe the documents are on Granicus. It's the last link on Granicus. It has the finances letter from February 2nd.
Yeah, I'm on page 3 of 25 on the February 6th, and it says preliminary report dated December 26, 2025 at 8 a.m. Was it supposed to be not a preliminary report? Like, what is the opposite of preliminary? Or
I believe the testimony was that these documents were on the agenda, but they weren't posted, but they are posted on Granicus.
Or is it because it says transmitting a title report and it's just a preliminary report? Or is a preliminary report the same thing as a title report?
Title report is listed on the agenda and on the actual report that I'm seeing posted.
Okay.
So are you saying we're fine?
I believe so.
We're
Yes.
fine. Okay. Are you, Mr. Hanana, you have any comments?
I think the posted note number 3 refers to correspondence dated February 2nd, 2026, which is what's, I think, posted on the
Agenda.
Granicus. I think that's item number 16.
Okay, so we're fine. All right, so members, close public testimony, and all of you take questions, 3 minutes. Member Sinensi, you first, and we'll go down that way.
Hello, Chair. For Mr. Hironaka, the plan was to acquire the property and then to include it in the Kaehu conservation. What was the plan for from the administration?
Councilmember Senensi, that was my understanding is the intention of the administration. Since we already own the adjacent 63 acres, we thought this would be a good addition so that no one could acquire it and develop the property.
So, the current Kaehu management would manage it?
Yes.
That would be up to the administration to determine.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Councilmember Sinensi. Sorry to interrupt. Yes, we have had discussions with the organization that is currently managing the surrounding properties about taking on this property as well, and they are agreeable. Thank you, Chair.
And there are no structures on it?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Councilmember
Currently,
Sinensi.
yeah.
I'll defer to Mr. Hironaka.
Yeah, currently it is a vacant property, that is correct.
Okay, those are my questions for now, Chair. I'll refer to my fellow council members.
Thank you. Thank you. Member Uhajens, followed by Member Cook.
Thank you, Chair. Did, in your discussions with Kaehu Bay, the current management, I know they do a good job, a couple properties down the road. Did you folks have the Ohana come and talk stories with them as well, or any correspondence between the 3 entities, like the county, Kaehu Bay, and the Ohana?
Department.
I'll jump in here. Thank you for that question. I am not aware of a meeting such as that, but I will tell you that from the administration, we have had several contacts with the family in trying to resolve some neighbor disputes. So I'm not aware that we have all been in the same room at the same time.
Thank you. What does Kaehu Bay plan on doing with this location? Do we know their plans?
Thank you for the question. It's my understanding that it will just be wrapped into that conservation property, including the stewardship of it. It sits right along the shoreline, right? So the preservation of it is of high importance as it's sensitive, yeah.
Yeah, I've never been there. This is not necessarily what I can consider my backyard, but I was looking at it online, and it is right adjacent to the river mouth. I think that's all my questions for now. I do have a bunch more, but not, in the interest of time, I'll save them.
Okay.
Thank you.
Member Cook, followed by Member Rollins Fernandez.
Thank you, Chair. So my question for the administration, is there, is the intent, is the commitment to have this as open space, not build anything on it? It will have public access. It'll be cared for and respected.
Thank you, Councilmember Cook. That's exactly right. It is open space funds that are being utilized. So all of the rules and regs that go around that and limitations that go around that are in place. So it's just conservation land, and we happen to have a really great steward right next to the property.
I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Rollins Fernandez, followed by Member Johnson.
Mahalo. My question is for Mr. Hironaka. Okay, so I see on Granicus the appraisal. And then I see, I guess it's not clear the chain of title. I see the premises acquired by deed, by LDS, September 2nd, 1998. And then I see some, like covenants and mineral and water rights. So which page should I look at that shows how LDS got title to the land?
Okay, Councilmember, if you look at the preliminary report, it should be item number 3, the deed that they're talking about, the indenture from 1938 between Wailuku Sugar and the church. It appears that there were 2 properties and it was almost like an exchange deed. And so the second property that is on that indenture is the property that is being discussed.
So the document is saying that before LDS had title to the land, that Wailuku Sugar Company retained title?
According to this, that is who the grantor of the property was.
Okay, and then is there any documents that show how Wailuku Sugar Company got title?
It doesn't go past that, and that is something, if we needed, you could have to hire a title search.
Okay, because I think that's what's in dispute right now, is who officially had title. Because it sounds like, like the Ohana that is testifying is saying that they let the church have their structure and, have service there. But that wasn't them, the Ohana giving them title to the land. Okay. All right. And then, so if we were to do a title search, how long would that take?
That we would have to get a quote for time and cost. And it could be months, it could be years.
Okay. Mahalo, Mr. Hiranaka.
Thank you. Member Johnson, followed by Member Paulton.
Thank you, Chair. This question's for administration. Ms. Lalo, do you think after hearing the testifiers and the uncovering of the muddiness of this situation, is the administration going to move forward on this?
Thank you for the question. That's a great consideration, and I can't answer that, to be honest with you.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. Moving forward, would the administration be willing to meet with the folks?
Of course.
Yeah, I would assume so. I just, hear it on the record, it
Yeah.
means something. So,
For sure.
if, I would love to maybe revisit this after the meetings, because I feel a little uncomfortable because this situation happens all the time. This is not new. And I don't want to be part of that when we have unclear titles. I think it was best if you sit down with folks, see what comes from that, and then maybe come back to us and tell us how that meeting went, because I feel very uncomfortable putting my hand up for muddy titles. I think it's 2026. We should have learned a long time ago. That's not how we should do. But I would just, hearing your willingness to meet with these folks, and I will wait until that happens. And that's my questions. Thank you so much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Member Johnson. Member Paulton, followed by Chair Lee, then Member Batangan.
Is it possible to request a resource from the family?
Sure.
Is there anyone from the family that wants to serve as a resource?
Is there anybody that would like to serve as a resource for this item? Is it your designated grandson who seems to be the spokesperson?
Two would be good.
Okay.
It's almost like it was meant to be.
You can state your name. You want to come and sit here?
There's two seats with
Right here.
microphones, almost like it was meant to be.
Thank you. State your name and thank you very much. Thank you, Dane. Okay, anybody you have questions for them?
Yeah, I'll ask my question, and then when you answer, you can maybe state your name for the record when you're ready. So my question is, knowing that the LDS Church is, I guess, looking to sell the property, what is your vision of an ideal outcome from the whole situation?
So I am a member of the church. and that-
LDS.
Yeah, in the LDS Church. My ideal is that to research that they don't own it. So it's like he said, no disrespect to the church or to any of you, but through the research, and as you can see for his grandson also, he has a lot of documents, there's a lot, and he has to put it together. But from the research, from what I had conversation with his papa, is that, like they mentioned, it was up on the Mauka side. The church was in the Mauka side. And so there, if you look on the indentures, which is not a deed, it's how they exchanged it, there's two LCAs, Land Commission Awards. One is 5454, the other one is Kahailua. I'm not sure what the LCA is, but that's the two that they did the exchange for on the indenture. Kauhai in 1910, this is the name of a person. In 1910, there is another indenture, and that was where I would say I'll call her she, because she was a granddaughter of the Land Commission Award, 5454, Pauanihi. And so she is a granddaughter, and she did this indenture with the church. Now she's a step-granddaughter. Now, our tutu, which is named Pahu'ino, which is a son of Pehu'ino, at the time, he was there with them for a little bit, to live with them at the age of 62 on the Mauka side. That is the uncle of, that's Pahu'ino's uncle, which is who has that Land Commission Award.
I believe your genealogy and your ties to the land. I guess my question is, if the LDS Church is looking to sell, then they can, in theory, sell to other people, because it's like an American institution, LDS Church, and they believe in American laws. So I have no problem agreeing with you and voting no. Is that the extent of what you want from us? Is just to vote no?
To vote no, because as you heard, our family, and you can see, and you witnessed that today, we understand that our ancestors back then, they did what they did because they practiced the law, which is a law of consecration at the time, which is what we practice in the churches and the ecclesiastical part. And so this is how it happened. And like my cousin had mentioned, it was for worship, right? So I would have to say to vote no, only because the family still exists till this day. Lineal descendants are on the land till this day. And I am going to say this, and no offense to anyone, but it is a slap in the face if it's going to go to Ka'ehu. Not to say, no disrespect to any director or anything like that, but the Ohana is right there, who have been stewards of this land for many years. He's the youngest right now. He literally protects the gate.
I was asking because, you know, in Honokohau, we purchased a parcel and we gave it to Na Mamo Aloha Aina o Honokohau. And I'm not sure if you have a nonprofit or something like, I'm not sure that it needs to go to Ka'ehube if you have your own organization. But,
Right, I hear what you're saying. Because the conversations with his papa, he never wanted to do nonprofit only because that's all part of protecting the Aina too. And so, yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
What you ultimately want.
Yeah, so
I can accept that.
yeah, because the family for many years have been doing, I mean, if you go down there, you can see they've been taking care of the place.
I mean, my only concern would be LDS sells it to somebody like whose name I won't mention because that's probably not a good idea. But if you still want me to vote no, I have no problem. I'll vote no, but that would be my concern. But if it's not your concern, then it doesn't need to be my concern.
Right, right. And he has fought other people who have come through and tried to own the land as well and come in. And I can hear what you're saying because they are a corporation. Our church is a corporation. They have a lot of money. We are building a temple. We're in that process. But it's very, you know, I'm just going to mention this. It's very, you know, it's kind of similar what happened to our kupunas back then when our temple was being built in 1919 in Laie. And then here in 1910, there's this transaction going on, right? So here we are in this time, in this period where the family is going through the same thing. It's all over again, where a temple is going to be built. And then we are in this place. And like you said, they could sell it to someone else. But I have, just so you know, I have contacted our headquarters. I've had conversations. I have a video or a tape of our conversations. I have emails, and they cannot give me the title. And I requested that. And that's only because they don't have the title.
I can vote no. I think I went a little over my 3 minutes, but I think it was helpful for the members. And Charlie is next, and then member Batangan.
He wants to say something.
I'd just like to say that still to this day now, it's been a long fight for when my grandfather was alive, and just the amount of knowledge and the amounts of late nights just till now after his passing, and just to see the documents that I found going back to 1700, it just astonished me that it stays true. It's in the family. There's a strong title chain to this land that has to do with our family, and going with maps and titles, chaining together and mapping exactly how it's supposed to be. And I'm going through all my grandfather's testimonies and his summary judgments and his injunction cases, and I'm just reading all his stories, and it feels so strong, like I'm there with him. And it's hard to see. I'm still here, we're still fighting, and it's been many years, but to know that you know, in spirit, he's here, he's with us. But to know that, yeah, the fight will continue on and it will stay true.
Thank you. You raised the hair on my arms.
Thank you very much. Chair Lee, then Member Batangan.
Thank you. I have a 12 o'clock meeting, so I have to make this quick. My question is for Ms. Lalo. Ms. Lalo, who brought this idea to purchase that property to you?
Thank you for the question. This was brought up and had a conversation with Managing Director Nishita. So,
So this is not community driven, it's just one person had an idea?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair Lee. My understanding is that LDS reached out to the county to see if we would be interested in purchasing the parcel due to the fact that we own the parcels surrounding it. That was the start of this and what started this amendment process. Thank you, Chair.
And then who did the due diligence to check if people were using the property or living on the property?
Thank you, Chair. I'll defer to the Department of Finance on that.
Mr. Hironaka.
Clearly, this is Guy here. So what happened was when LDS put it on the market, their broker contacted the county because they knew that we owned the adjacent parcel. We brought it up to the administration who looked at it and, told us to do the due diligence. So we did do some due diligence and we were familiar with the property because we've been down there before.
Okay, was somebody occupying the property or using the property?
No.
Was it in disrepair or what
It just
prompted you
vacant
to
land.
proceed? Huh?
It just was vacant land. And because
Vacant
we own the adjacent parcel that was in conservation, it was something that the administration thought would be good to put it into our conservation so that it would not be developed.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Member Batangan.
Thank you, Chair. So when I first saw this item on your agenda, I supported the idea of putting this land into conservation. I didn't quite get this full story from the documents that were posted in Granicus. So I want to really mahalo the family for coming forth to help us better understand the issue. I don't think I'm fully following what the administration is telling us that they did regarding their due diligence. I don't understand what the report is telling us from pre-1998. I know member Rollins Fernandez had asked questions of Mr. Hironaka and he tried to explain that, but I gotta be honest, I didn't fully follow. So while I support the idea of putting it into conservation, I'm not comfortable making a vote right now. And if the question was called, I just want it on record that I would be voting no at this time. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I think we hear you all. So this is what I'm hearing is that the administration said that they would sit down and talk to the family and try to come to some kind of mutual understanding of what's transpired. The documents that grandson Dane has from grandpa, I guess that's still in your bins. It's not yet quite organized in any kind of legal fashion. Is that right, Dane?
Reading to the documents I found, I chained them together and it's pretty strong. So yeah, I do have a lot of documents that hold pretty strong up in court, especially with records already being made that was from previous time.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much. So at this time, members, I'm gonna, go ahead, Ms.
Oh,
Miller.
sorry. I just wanted to add too that there is no record of from where the gate is for it being a public road access way to the church. And yeah, I just wanted to put that in there that was part of it.
Okay.
Right.
Ms. Milner.
Sorry, Chair, just briefly, we got some information from the managing director. It has been our policy that if the county acquires land and it's legally determined to belong to someone else, we will hand that land over. Thank you, Chair.
You'll hand what did you say, your last statement?
we'll hand the land over if it's legally determined to belong to someone else.
Oh, I see. Oh, very good. Okay.
And Chair, I see Guy's hand up, so maybe he wants to add to this.
Mr. Hironaka?
Chair, so regarding the access, there is an unrecorded easement.
Okay. Thank you. So members, I'm going to ask that this item be deferred so we can unscramble
Sure.
what we're hearing. Member Sinensi.
Thank you, Chair. I just had one more question for Dane. So hearing from the managing director, Dane, that, you know, should the family, you know, show that you guys are the legal ownership, that the county would potentially hand it over back to the family, would you still want us to leave it to the LDS Church to keep on the market, or potentially have the county purchase it?
No, I would like it to be just for the family, and in time, meaning I'll get to that question. I'll get back to you on that question.
Okay.
But sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
And I think, so sorry, and I think too, you know, there's also a record of showing that my cousin Henry did object to this back in February 2025. So I want to make that clear too, that even though we're here talking about it, he did that back in 2025 February.
Yeah.
So he made a statement here too.
Yeah, and Mr. Mayo contacted us too. I was just saying that it would be more difficult for the family if the LDS Church sells it to a private entity versus the county. It would be harder, I would think, for the family to get back the property, or would have to go through some legal that could take years. But I'll leave it to the family for them to decide. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Corp Counsel wants to chime in.
Thank you, Chair. And regarding to the testifier's question earlier, I just wanted to just put on the record that the only title report available is the preliminary title report that was provided and posted. And that's what should be considered. That's the only legal document considered for title for this acquisition.
Okay, thank you very much. So members, based upon the discussion, I totally respect the Mayo family and the testimony that we've heard, as well as administration. Thank you very much. So I wonder if you all could talk story and maybe come to some kind of understanding, and then I'll call this item back up for discussion. Member Batangan.
Thank you, Chair. Can I ask a question be transmitted to the administration? So if the county does purchase property and it is later determined that somebody else has title to it, if it's our policy to then hand over that property, what recourse does the county have for the purchase that it just made?
Is that a Corp Counsel question?
Yeah, I just want to transmit it and we can get it back in writing. It doesn't have to be now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll find out. Very interesting. That's good to know. I've never heard that before. So members, at this time, I'm going to defer this item. Are you fine, Mayo family, with deferring it, which means we'll bring it up again. It'll probably be May or June before we can talk about it, because we're going into budget session. And at that time, you can sort through your documents. Would that help you? Yeah? Is that okay? Mayo. Okay, Mayo. Sorry. I should know. I was talking to your grandpa all these, I guess, over the last year. Okay, we're fine. So I'm going to defer this item. Oh, yes, Dane wants to say something.
And just to go forward with what my grandfather told me, that as this is his words, is him saying, I do have a superior title to the land. And another thing is if you want, you take me to court, and I don't need to show you documentation, but if you want to, you can take me to court with any documentation I get. But just gonna put that out there with the title that he had.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right, members, so this item is going to be deferred, and I'll bring it up again after we're done with our budget. So you you'll have time to look through and, yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So, members, it's 12 o'clock, and we are going to defer, we have to take up testimony for grants, and we have to take up testimony for budget, right? Okay, so we'll get to you next session, next meeting, sorry about that. So at this time, I'm gonna be calling up the third item, which is about grants. Are there any testifiers?
Chair, there's no one signed up to testify. Here's last call briefly. Please identify yourself now if you want to testify. The countdown is 3, 2, 1. Chair, there's no one to testify on this item.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to close public testimony, receive any written testimony on grants. I want to thank Cynthia Lalo, who's been here with us all morning, along with the departments that were hanging out until we determined that probably we weren't going to get to it. But I will bring this up again on the next BFED meeting, which is the 17th. And thank you very much, because I'm going to have Member Johnson present the findings from the survey that he did. And yeah, and then will you be giving it to us for posting in Granicus?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, it's already there. Thank you very much. So members, you can look at it, and the general public. Thanks for doing that survey. Responses from the community who have grants with the County of Maui and their reactions. And the last item, which is budget 1, which I was going to talk about our budget process, but we'll also bring that up at the next meeting, which is the 17th. And this meeting, I have to.
Chair, do you have to take testimony on the last item?
I do. Take testimony on the last item.
So just to confirm real quickly, there's no testifiers. If anyone does want to testify, please identify yourself now. We'll do a countdown. 3, 2, 1. There's no one signed up to testify on BFED 1.
Oh, after you close public testimony, I just wanted to mention that I submitted my questions for clarification and formatting and font size. I hope you can do it. I don't think anyone else would object to it, but I don't know if you need to run it by the other members or what.
Okay. So I'm going to, we close public testimony for the last item, which is budget, and I am going to bring this up again on the 17th. Kirsten, what did you want me to say about that? And what Member Paulson is saying?
Thank you, Chair. We just wanted to let the members know that the updated calendar with all of the departments listed is in Granicus, and we also have the list of updated questions, which includes the 2 questions that Member Johnson added last week, and then we have Member Paulson's request for formatting.
Yeah, that was important. So did you have more questions you wanted to add?
No, just those, minimum 12-point font, nothing blurry, the format for the vacancies, what it should include, and those kind of things. I don't think any of my colleagues would object to the things that I asked for.
Yeah. We would like to read what we receive. So thank you very much for that. And anybody else have any comments? Check to see what's on Granicus, because you'll see that the calendar now has departments that we want to speak to, and took into consideration what was said at the last meeting, as well as the spreadsheet that OCS did that basically talks about total operating appropriations, this one that has the spreadsheet, and it helped determine what departments will be calling up for budget. So at this time then, I'm going to defer this item, and the agenda is now ended. So thank you very much. 12:04, this meeting is adjourned.